Or they try to.
All right, welcome back to the Pittsburgh Business Virgin. We were going to talk to Denise in this segment about sort of the advancements and the growth of a business. So when we are opening doors, what are some of the key attributes you think you have to have in place?
I think
Day one,
I think you have to have a plan. And I think as hard as it is and as difficult as it may seem to actually put down in writing a business plan, a marketing plan, you have to have a strategy to open that business. And I think the strategy has to involve a very good market analysis and a competitor analysis, because you really have to know as early as possible what you're up against. So I think the minute you open the doors, you have to have a plan.
So how big of a market are you really serving in your given area? And that area could be worldwide, depending on what type of business it is. Or, you know, like our business here, Three Rivers, more of a local business. So you got to know sort of what that market looks like and what penetration you need to have in order for it to financially work is what
Right.
you're discussing. And then know who your competitors are based on your business model.
Right, and I think it's important for people that start a business to break down, you know, their revenues in the transaction, like per transaction. So really understand, you know, how many customers do I need to sell? What is the time frame? So the more realistic you can get on projections, I think the less people tend to get, you know, frustrated, head down a wrong path, start taking on business that doesn't suit the core.
And sometimes my experience is people are overly optimistic when they're putting this plan together. Is that a consistent theme, do you think, when you're dealing with new business owners?
It's very consistent. So, you know, and that's part of the thing that I try to tell people is, you know, when they say, I'm going to make $1 million, I'm going to sell $1 million year one. Well, I mean, of course, I hope that happens.
Yeah.
But then you say, okay, well, let's break that down. What is your average sale? How many customers do you need for that average sale? And I think the more realistic, and I try to advise people, if it's zero, if you're not going to sell anything for 3 months, it's better to recognize that there's no revenue coming in than to kid yourself thinking.
Oh, yeah. That's more realistic.
Realistic is key when you start opening a business.
All right, so what are some of the other key attributes to sort of get to that first $1 million of revenue?
I think,
you know, walking in, opening the door. So a good plan having to do with your market and your competitors, understanding what your per revenue hit is per transaction, all makes sense. What else?
I think along with that plan, you have to have a sales strategy, and that has to include, you know, networking. It has to include, you know, direct sales. And, you know, while cold calling isn't what it used to be 10 years ago,
no way.
You still have to pick up the phone and call people that you don't know. And so, you know.
Can you do that? Or do you need to hire someone to do it for you?
I think it depends on the business.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're selling a widget and it's to consumers.
It's a very technical term, widget, from business school.
Right. So if you're selling just one item to consumers, and, you know, you may want to outsource that. If you're selling more consultative type sales, then it has to come from you as a business owner, because nobody's going to understand that business more than you.
Okay. So what are the keys to get to $1 million, do you think?
I think the key is, besides a plan, you have to have a process.
Okay.
And
so
that,
systems?
Systems, a process. You know, some people are convinced that they can run their business on Excel. And while I love Excel, I think it can do a lot of things.
It solves all problems. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, it's tough to do trending analysis and things like that in Excel.
Are you a big fan of E-Myth, the book E-Myth by
Mhm.
Hilbert.
Yep.
So do you see, so there's some validation to if you don't have systems and if the whole business isn't utilizing the same, consistency. I hate to use it, but it's sort of the McDonald's analogy of, if you buy a burger in Florida, it's the same exact burger as you buy in,
Right.
Alaska. Although they do kind of mix up. Some places they put mustard in there versus other places. Not that I'm a McDonald's connoisseur, but one thing I did notice.
I didn't know that. But I think along with the systems, though, is you have to have a good corporate culture. And I think everybody has to be part of that culture. Everybody has to buy in,
How do you do that?
I think you start by hiring the right people. I think you start by hiring the people that can add to your business. I think a lot of people hire people that are just going to agree with them.
Yes, men and women.
Yep. And I think that's a mistake. I mean, you want to learn from failures. I think the more people understand when they start a business that you can learn more from failures than success, I think the better off they are.
So when you're at C-level and you guys are thinking about what's next with the business, it's okay in that Monday morning meeting to disagree.
Everybody at C-level loves to disagree with me.
Really?
Yes.
Paulette's off camera.
Paulette's
looking at the ceiling right
right.
now and trying not to
but
make eye contact with you.
We kind of do what we sell.
Yeah.
So everybody at C-level takes part in what the area of the business they are the strongest in. So we are absolutely a collaborative environment, and I don't mind when people disagree. That kind of tells me that they're engaged.
Yeah, one of the things that I've always tried to do in my career is it's okay for us to have a lively conversation as long as it doesn't get personal. And but whether we all agree in this room or not on what we should be doing, once a decision is made, when we leave here, we all have to be,
Right.
on the same theme. And if you can't do that, then you might not be the right person for the team.
Exactly. And I think there's more to a business than just selling.
Yep.
There's a culture,
Absolutely.
everybody has to, all of the people involved with C-level are really dedicated to helping startups and small business. And we won't hire anybody or bring anybody on board that doesn't have that vision, that doesn't have the I'm going to give back to the community mentality.
Hold right there because I want to pick up with C-level when we come back for our next episode. We'll be right back with Denise from C-level.